we are going to be welcoming in now our very special guests here. We are honored to have the folks over from Valley Family Center here with us. We have Tiffany Pegula, who's does the some of the community outreach out there, and then we also have Jovanna Kelly, the associate marriage and family therapist from good old Valley Family Center. First of all, good morning, y'all. How y'all doing this morning?
Good morning. We're doing well.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us here.
Yes. It's great to actually have you guys here in studio with us. Tiffany, we've been thanks to Abby, of course, over at Cafe Aficionado for connecting with us, and here we are now in the studios of KROJ Valley Views here to talk about a little bit more about the Valley Family Center. And before we do, though, I just wanted to just ask both of y'all. We'll start here with Jovanna, since you're like almost at my 12 o'clock right now. How is your mind, body, and spirit right here, right now?
My mind, body, and spirit is feeling really grounded right now, and I'm very, very, very happy to be here today.
Yay. What about yourself, Tiffany? How's your mind, body, and spirit today?
I'm feeling so happy to be here. I'm excited to talk and share all the things that we have going on at Valley Family Center.
Yes. And let me just real quick here, a little bit on the mission here of Valley Family Center here. And then I want to get into it because there's a lot of resources, a lot of different types of services that are offered. But the mission of Valley Family Center is to provide counseling and educational services that facilitate personal growth, strengthen the family unit, and protect human dignity for all persons in need. So with that said, you've been, Jovanna, with the center now for about a year. First of all, tell us a little bit more about that center and your role as a therapist there.
Of course. So the center offers so many resources. We offer like anger management classes. We do sexual abuse awareness classes for non-offending parents, parenting education classes in both Spanish and English. We have a lot of resources, and we also do domestic violence classes for both the offender and the victim. We want to make sure that the cycle breaks, so we want to tap into both places. And we also do individual sessions, family sessions, couple sessions with people as young as 5 years old to 99 essentially. And we have a play therapy room, we have an art therapy room, so we use all of that in our sessions.
Oh, now I definitely want to go and visit that place. But tell me a little bit more about that too, because I know Tiff and I had spoken over the phone related to some of this, like the services that relate to those that also, like you said, like like the perpetrators, I guess, in this sense too, right? That also need services as well, right? Just like, survivors and victims do as well. But tell me a little bit more about that program and like what seems very maybe different than other places that offer these type of services too.
Yeah, it's very educational, and we have like clinicians that are very well trained, and the perpetrators group, it's all on Zoom, and so you can be in anywhere in California. And obviously it's separated, so you're not going to have a class with, a victim and a perpetrator together. And it's all about education and teaching people. A lot of times people don't know, especially coming from like cultural standpoints, that something is abusive, and they don't know that.
Yeah.
So it's very, very nice to get, the education and the background. We have a lot of like, mandated people that are supposed to be there because they are mandated by the court, and we have people that are voluntary as well, so we service everybody.
Nice. And from your experience, like do you see like at least there at the Valley Family Center, I'm just curious on this, I haven't really seen the statistics on this recently, but like is there like a proportion, is it pretty balanced out between like men and females, like as far as like males and females like that go through that type of program, or is it more like on the male side, or is it more on the female side? Just
You'd
curious.
You'd actually be surprised that it's the offenders are both men and female, and that's something that's not talked about a lot because sometimes it's either very taboo, or people just automatically assume that the offenders are just male. But that's not the case, and we see that a lot in anger management as well. It's a mix between men and women in our group, as well as all of our classes, and also our sexual abuse awareness for non-offending parents. There's a mix of both male and female in there.
And what's your experience in general, like seeing the need just overall now, like of like different therapies and like in our community? Like, is there certain types of, like, you know, whether it's mental health or other services that are needed that you see more of here in our community, like just from, you know, being there now for, you know, over about a year or so?
Yeah, of course. So the thing that I've noticed the most is that, you know, a lot of times people are like, oh, my child at 5 years old is too young for therapy. They can't sit in front of a therapist for an hour and talk about whatever's going on. So we utilize like the art room and the playroom because a lot of times children don't have the language. But they can demonstrate what's going on through play and through art. And that's something that we have seen a huge benefit of having a playroom and an art room. And also too, our adults like to use it as well. It's not just for children.
Love that.
Right. You know,
I use it too, actually.
So I have a question from Instagram. Somebody was asking, is this a resource through insurance, and is it accessible through Medi-Cal?
So it is not accessible. We don't accept insurance, but we have keep the cost very low. And we also have grants that help people that can't afford the services to either get a very discounted rate or services at no cost.
Wow.
Okay.
It is very affordable. I have I share a lot of the content on my personal page, and at this point I probably have about 5 or 6 clients that go to Valley Family Center, and it's very affordable.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's such a important information, you know, too, because sometimes, I mean, that's also part of it. Like, you know, folks might not have the resources, financial resources, or even just education, know to, as far as the knowledge to like access, you know, like just services that might be available.
And that's where a lot of the issues come from too. Not having all those resources, you know. Yeah,
that part, you know. And tell me, what are some other resources, or Tiffany, like, so you've been there too now, and tell me a little bit more about like just your role and like, you know, what makes you excited about being with Valley Family Center?
I love working there. I think I've been there for about 5 or 6 months now, and I just had a talk with one of our directors, Amy, and she mentioned that since I've been there raising awareness, that the numbers have been through the roof. She said it's been higher, I think 30% higher. People have been calling in.
Wow.
And wanting to get therapy. And I think too, like just by seeing different faces, by seeing someone that maybe looks like them talking about mental health, I think it makes it more quote unquote normalized, less medical, so to speak. So I try to make it fun. I try to be myself and just be as authentic as possible. And I make sure they know that they can reach out to me personally and I can put them in the right hands. And I have to say, since I've been there, I myself have been in therapy for years and years and years. But since I've been at Valley Family Center, the therapists that they employ that work there are so kind, so warm, so personable, and I just feel really good about referring people to Valley Family Center.
No, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like a place definitely that offers a lot. It's right here in our community as well, and not too far from our own studios here.
Yeah, we offer services in Spanish and English as well.
Oh, cool.
And tell me a little bit more about just the going back to some of the programs, or just like your experience, like just as a therapist in general, like what are like the growth that you see in just, you know, the folks that you work with?
So I'm actually half Mexican and half Black, so coming from that cultural standpoint, it's very much like we don't talk about what happens at home. It's very taboo, you know. I'll give you something to cry about, things like that. And so I was able
Reminds
to
you of George Lopez. Why are you crying, fool? You know what I mean? Like, that's like a cultural thing.
Yeah, of course. And I was able to do my own therapy, and it changed my life so much that I wanted to go back to school and do this for other people. And I've been able to walk through the journey the way that my therapist walked through with me, to do this with other people and see the changes, see the taboos, like things being broken, seeing the generational curses being broken. You know, being able to have a safe space to talk about things that otherwise wouldn't be okay to talk about in a household culturally.
Right. And so it's kind of like also breaking some of those like cultural norms in that sense, you know, and just being able to just to speak freely, you know, like in a way. And what's just the biggest joy for you then in that sense, you know?
I think the biggest joy for me is being able to witness people's journeys and being a part of, you know, my biggest honor is them being able to, or like see the changes in their lives and being able to be a part of that. And, you know, coming from, somebody who has had panic attacks their whole life and can't leave their house, to now being able to enjoy the things that they used to enjoy before the panic attack started.
Yeah. And recognizing maybe like the factors that trigger those things.
Absolutely.
And, And go ahead, Yossi.
Yeah, no, I mean, just a question, just like, I guess, about the community that we're in right now, which is the community we're servicing. A lot of our community was like directly impacted by COVID, right? And so we saw a lot of, we experienced a lot of loss. There's a huge amount of grief. I know just like in my son's school, my son experienced, his classmate's mother passing as well. And so like that was huge on his mental health because he was grieving already somebody who passed. And then there was like this trauma bond that was formed, and it was really hard like to help him, And so from your guys' experience with the community here, what are the maybe three main I guess, what do I want to call them? Like, what are the three main, like, focal points or, like, focal issues that parents should be looking out for in their kids, the youth here?
Yeah, I would say definitely parents should be aware of, like, their children isolating. We live in a complete different day and age from when I went to school. We didn't have, shooter drills. That's something that they have now, and it's something that unfortunately is our kids are dealing with that, and we don't know if they're going to come home at the end of the day, or we have to have clear backpacks or bulletproof backpacks and things like that. So post-COVID, we've seen a lot of grief and a lot of people worried about that kind of stuff, anxiety, to parents, it's okay to get help. It doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. It doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. At the end of the day, we are all parents who, having kids doesn't come with a manual. And so getting resources like outside of your home is okay, and it's encouraged to do.
Yes.
And our kids need as much help as they can. So just noticing that our kids are not isolating. Another thing that we encounter is, kids are dealing with bullying nowadays. So ask questions and listen. I think a lot of times parents always want to be quick to fix things. But a lot of times kids don't come to us because we don't listen.
Yeah.
So that's another huge thing. And Tiffany has some more information about a kids group that we actually just started because we found a really, really big need for this.
Yes,
nice.
So we got a huge donation from another nonprofit organization. It's called Giving of the Hands Foundation, and they actually granted us funds. So we have a program that's going to be starting September 26th. And I believe it's a 26-week program that the first, I think, 20 or 30 kids are 100% free. And these are emotional skills building classes. So they could come just right down the street. They can be in small groups depending on their age and be with a therapist. I believe Jovanna will be one of the therapists.
I will be one of the therapists from 11 to 13. So the services are offered from ages 5 to 13, and they will be broken up into 3 groups, and it'll be a weekly, every Thursday service where they can have a group session with
therapy.
Therapists. Yeah, and it's going to be offered like different topics and art projects and different things, and we're really looking back to give back to the community through that.
So there's a lot of different options to like work on your mental health now, and there's a lot of different options on how to get a hold of therapy, whether it's in a group session or whether it's online, or like myself, my kids, they have therapy, and their therapist actually goes to their school and has their sessions there. And so they have minimal disruption. It's minimal disruption to me, to my working schedule. And, I think that parents are also afraid of not just of like the commitment that therapy is, because therapy is such a commitment.
Can be.
In order for therapy to work, there has to be consistency, and I think that has been, for myself, like the biggest struggle is making sure that I'm consistent with my kids. And so that is why I moved from going in person to the office to the therapist going to their school. But yeah, can you guys speak a little bit on that, like how therapy has changed throughout the years from like when I was a youth? Like therapy was just like this very scary thing. Therapists didn't look like what you look like today.
Yeah.
Which is so refreshing, you know, because my daughter, she's like all about fashion. And so like if you were her therapist, she would be like, oh my gosh. But you know, I would love to hear your guys' take on that.
Yeah, of course. We since COVID, it's been like a big need of, you know, just access to resources. So we began to offer, you know, also in-person sessions as well as Zoom sessions. So, and then also too, from morning to night, we have, you know, sessions happening from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yes, I see
Wow.
her there
It's-
really late.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
so surprised. I was like, you're still here. She has sessions like well after school hours.
Oh yeah, and like you said, you know, therapists don't look like they used to, and I think that was something for me that was super intimidating, where I was like, oh, they're not gonna understand me, like what the heck? And then here I am, like covered in tattoos from head to toe, like, and a septum piercing, and it's not what you expect to be a therapist, like, but you know, it's people,
also breaking the
refreshing to see.
tradition.
Exactly.
In that sense too.
Yeah.
That's cool. And but also like representation matters, because I think
sure.
that's another thing that is so important in the communities, right? Especially like Black and brown communities, that you know, again, because of the stigmas that's sometimes attached with mental health and therapy. It's like and then if you're going in and like, you know, you have therapists that might not be able to relate on that level, then it makes it obviously a bit more challenging to feel that connection with the therapist,
or to even open up, you know.
Seriously,
I think it's just like so hard. That was for me growing up when I first started therapy. It was, and even as an adult, it was like so hard. I had to, you know, change therapists multiple times until I found somebody that I was comfortable with.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, like when I finally found that person that I was comfortable with, they finished their hours and they had to go.
Yeah, no.
And then so like sometimes you're able to follow your therapist and sometimes you're not. Sometimes that's part of the contract that they can't take you with them. And so like it's unfortunately for me, my therapist couldn't take me with her. But yeah, I think it's just like therapy is just such an essential part of our lives that I think where we had a lot of that spoken word in our past, like our ancestors were able to like therapize, I guess, I don't know how to say that properly, you know, in community, but I think now like it's really important to lean into the professionals, you know, because the professionals were like the elders back then, and we don't really have access to that anymore. And so it's people should lean into it, you know.
Yeah, I always say that like finding your therapist is kind of like speed dating. I feel like 80% of, you know, the success of therapy is based on the relationship that you have with your therapist. So you want to find somebody that fits you, and it's okay. If you don't mesh with the first person you see, find someone else. Try again.
Keep going.
The therapist shouldn't take it personal, and if they do, then they have to seek therapy themselves.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
For
Come on
sure.
now.
Oh man.
No, but you know, along with that, like, you know, with the kids, you know, especially youth, like what are some of like the I don't know, just like tips you might have for like parents just in general? I know you talked about like isolation is definitely one of those things to look for, but like what are like on the healthy side, right? Like kind of like what are some like healthy actions, behaviors that you know, like parents can encourage, or like, you know, little things that can be routine or habits, you know, just over time to be able to like have like a really healthy bond between like parents and kids too, so that they can reach out when they are in trouble, right? Or when they have a challenge or something, they could actually come to their parents.
Something that is like huge in our community and culture is that, you know, if you're sitting down and not doing something, you need to find something to do. So I think actually through therapy, it's really great to learn how to do self-care. Self-care is huge. And it should be done with like the children and the adults, as young as however young, all the way till like 100 years old,
right?
However old.
For sure.
Self-care is super, super important for your mental health, for just being stable, and parents as well. It's okay for parents to seek help as well.
Yeah, that too. That part of the parents too. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great to know. Again, we're here with the Valley Family Center. We got Jovanna and Tiffany here in the house with us here on Valley Views KROJ. We got Blizzard right here, background Take You There radio vibes, always in the mix. We got DLC who just celebrated a birthday. She's a year wiser here with us
Happy
too.
birthday!
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
yeah, just tell us, Tiffany, just going back to you too, like as far as like, part of like what you're doing is also just kind of like that community outreach and engagement. And like, how is that? Like, being able to talk to others and about the services, but also just, making connections, right, with folks and talking to them about things that sometimes might be uncomfortable, right? Or like, there's these resources that some folks might be the first time trying to access as well, and navigating that. Yeah.
It's true. I think just going back to what she was saying, I think that our kids are always watching us. So I think it really does start from the top. So I think it's easy for me to connect with people because I really walk the walk. Over the years, I've learned to really just embody what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate that people do feel comfortable with having a conversation about mental health, and it's easy for them to come to me.
Yeah.
And I don't take that for granted at all.
Yeah.
But I think like for my own kids, I have 2 adopted daughters. One is 17, one is 14. I've fostered over 30 kids in my life, so I'm really familiar with the mental health space because a lot of the kids that I fostered, I would have to take them to a mandated visit and do the monitor the visits.
So it's almost like a full circle here for you in a way,
I know,
right?
and I know it's very true. I just thought about that. But I love working with Valley Family Center because I have the opportunity to share and learn about all of the resources. But I think, like she was saying, the self-care is so important for the parents because kids don't always listen to what their parents are saying, but they're watching them. Mm-hmm. So if they see their mom looking after themselves, if they see their mom, you know what, I'm going to be in the car doing therapy, I'll be inside in an hour. They're going to learn by watching those experiences.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's important for me to emulate that, and I'm really fortunate to be in the space around like-minded people.
Yeah.
And with Valley Family Center, just the last, I'm not sure if Amy shared with you, but the last few months, just from the work that we've been doing with the outreach, when they do the number system to see the cultures, how it's grown.
Yeah.
3 years ago, all Hispanic. Now they said the numbers have gone up. More Black people are reaching out. More white people are reaching out. And for me, representation absolutely matters.
Yeah.
So that's a huge win, especially for our community here in San Fernando.
Yeah.
Huge.
And also for like our youth to see each other in these spaces, to understand that like we're all dealing with mental health issues, not just like as a Hispanic population or like the Black population, or like all of us are going through, we all live in the same community and we are all like put under the same, burdens. And so it allows to break that stigma as well of like how different are we or how different are our families. Like there's so many similarities. And I think for me as a youth in therapy, that was one of the biggest changing moments for me when I started to see like, wait, actually, I think for me it was I had a friend who's Arabic and I had a friend who was Black, and we were all kind of going through the same issues, and our cultures were so different, but like our parents were exactly the same. So
we're more alike than not.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a common theme we find in our groups where, they're mandated to be there for one reason or another, and they end up finding out that, we're more alike than we think we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that part. And, and with that said, what made you, Jovanna, now just like more on a personal level here, want to be a therapist? I mean, what was that like? What was that journey like? Just real quick here, but what was that journey like for you to say, you know what, this is actually what I want to do? Because if you don't have that many folks that look like you in these industries, and you were stepping into this type of space, how was that?
Yeah. So I grew up, like I said, I grew up with my mother who was Hispanic. My biological father was somewhere else. I went through a lot of those like taboo things, and I finally decided to get therapy myself, and my therapist changed my life. It was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to give it one last shot. My 2 older brothers, they died by suicide, and I was like, I'm third in line. I'm the third child. Does that mean, is this just how we go out,
Yeah,
and I'm next in line. So I said, I'm going to give it one last shot, and I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to try my best. And it ended up changing my life so much.
Yeah.
She was with me, next to me, held space for me. When I went through my divorce, it was a very, very big divorce. I have 5 children. So, you know, my kids got therapy, I had therapy, and my therapist was there along the entire way with me. And so I decided to go back and do therapy myself. And I was like, okay, so when I was interviewing at different places, you know, I asked my supervisor, I said, hey, do I need to cover up my tattoos and remove my septum piercing? And she said, no, you know, you give your best therapy when you're your most authentic self. And I was like, okay, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
They're amazing there.
You don't have to conform to other, you know, standards, if you will.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
That's such a beautiful culture. Yeah.
And
I
thank you for sharing that too, though, because that was a lot of pretty deep stuff.
Yeah.
to get to that, but in a way, it also shows like your commitment to the profession, because you know, going through that stuff and then still kind of coming out of it in this way where you're like now using those personal experiences along with your professional training, if you will, to actually help folks. I mean, that's huge, you know? Yeah. And what about you, Tiffany? As we're going to be wrapping up here today's show with you guys, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here, of course, for providing us a little bit more information. And just tell us, if folks want to tap in with the Valley Family Center, what are some ways to do that?
Yes, there's so many ways. They can definitely follow us on Valley Family Center. On our Instagram, I have my email, which I can give to you so we can share.
Sure.
People can message me directly, and I can put them in contact with Claudia, who does a lot of the booking. They can eat. There's so many ways, and we're local. We're right down the street from the office. We're open 5 days a week, morning till the evening. There's a lot of opportunities, and we offer so many different ways that we can serve the community.
Nice. And as we wrap it up here, thank you for all that information as well. We're going to go ahead and do words of wisdom with both of y'all before we say goodbye. Words of wisdom, y'all. Here it comes.
It's time for one of our favorite segments, Words of Wisdom. We're here to bring you a little something to think about. Insights, advice, and inspiration from our amazing guests. So whether you're having a tough day or just need a boost, these words are all about lifting your spirit and giving you something positive to carry with you. So kick back, relax, and let's get into today's Words of Wisdom.
Yes. We're back, folks. Valley Views, KROJ, 101.5 FM here in the San Fernando Valley, y'all. And again, we've had the pleasure here of having Tiffany and Jovanna from the Valley Family Center here with us. And we want to just wrap up here with a little words of wisdom. So for this one, Tiffany, we'll start with you. But yeah, just what are some words of wisdom that you want to leave us with?
My goodness, words of wisdom that you can always start again. You can always open another door. If the door doesn't open, it's not your door. It's not the only door. So just to stay focused, continue to work on being the best version of yourself. That way you're great for everybody else around you.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And what about yourself, Jovanna? You're going to finish off with some words of wisdom here.
You can't pour from an empty cup. So you can't continue to, parent the way you want to. If you have an empty cup, you need to make sure that you fill your cup first. And that comes with self-care. That comes with checking on your mental health before you can check on anybody else.
Yay. Yep. Love that. I love that. So once again, we've had the good folks from the Valley Family Center here with us. We're very fortunate to have them here. And they're literally down the block from us here, not too far from here in the city of San Fernando as well. We'll put some more information related to the Valley Family Center as well. We also put actually under our resources of our newsletter some information related to the Valley Family Center as well, and some links so you could check that out on our newsletter, Valley Views, the September issue. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick